Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. I'm happy to be with you today. I hope you're having a great day. Here we are nearing the middle of the week. Another week in the month of January is passing by. So this week I'm talking about some random thoughts and ideas. And this one comes from the 23rd Psalm. Now, the 23rd Psalm is familiar to most people. You've probably heard it more and more and more times than you can count. But it's always good to think about it every once in a while, something that's profound and meaningful and just share some really good thoughts about life. So here we have in the third verse and part of the fourth, reads this way. He, meaning God, renews my strength. He guides me along the right paths, bringing honor to his name. When I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. You know, in today's world, we have a lot of things to be concerned about, worried, anxious, whatever your word is. Top of the list is the Kofi virus, which after almost 2 years still seems to be hanging around and lots of people getting sick and lots of people dying. And that's of great concern to a lot of folks. For some, the economic situation in our country seems to be of great concern. For others, it's the rising price of things, especially oil and gasoline. And then we hear of unrest in parts of the world. We hear the militancy in many places with many of the countries who have the most powerful armies in the world, jostling each other to try to see who will give in, who will win, as if there's a war that can actually be won in the midst of this garbage. And in addition to that, we have our polarization here at home, where everything seems to be politicized, where faith seems to be identified based on political party more than on convictions of walking with God. And in the midst of this time, and there have been others like this, probably in history, others much worse than this. But during this time, the question comes, where are we going to go? What path are we going to take? What are you going to do? Are you going to just sit by and let all these forces determine what you think? Or are you going to do something else? Well, the passage here says that God renews my strength and he guides along the right paths. It brings honor to his name, it says. So, what is the right path? Well, I have my personal prejudiced opinions, like everybody else does. And it wouldn't be right for me to try to tell you what you should think in so many of these areas. But I can say this. The right path is the path that brings you closer to the God embodied by the person of Jesus. Now, I didn't say brings you closer to God because a lot of the hate groups think they're close to God. The radical Muslims think they're close to God. If they strap on a suicide bombing vest on someone and blow up a bunch of innocent citizens, they think that brings them closer to God. No, God is personalized. He's demonstrated in the life and the teachings of Jesus. And so the path we should be on is the path that follows him, not the path that tickles our political fancies or our personal desires for this or that, but the path that brings us alongside of the living Jesus, the living Christ, who teaches over and over and over again against things like hate, against things like vengeance, against things like telling stories to put people down. He teaches things like compassion and grace and love. That's the path we need to be on, wherever you find yourself in the midst of all these other things. If the path you're on doesn't lead you in that direction, then the psalm here says you're on the wrong path. It's really pretty simple. Now, if you get on the right path, as it says here, the path that brings honor to God's name, if you get on that path, then even though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, or the darkest valley, as it says in this version, even though you walk there. So it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter the consequences that come upon you. It doesn't matter the results of things beyond our control. Even if we walk through the worst, he's still there. And we don't have to be afraid. Now, I listen to a lot of commentaries in the news and that sort of thing on the radio when I'm driving around. Most of it's not very uplifting, and some people I know have taken the position that they're not going to listen to that. Well, that's their choice. I choose to listen to it. And I choose to listen to it probably because I'm just curious. But I'm also concerned. I'm concerned about how people are visioning God and molding God to meet his or her already opinions instead of the other way around. You know, very, very few people change the way they live based on the teachings of Jesus. But many, many, many people change their view of God based on how they want to live. And that's the path that gets you into trouble. So here we are into the new year, and you can think about what you want to do with it, what you hope it'll look like. My daughter wrote me today and said, I hope you have some good things happening today. That's a good thought. And so I'll pass it along to you. I hope you have some good things happening today. I hope you find the path that brings you closer and closer and closer to the risen Lord and his teachings as opposed to somebody else's. Well, thanks for listening. I really appreciate you taking the time. You certainly don't have to do that. And if there's something we can give back in terms of help, let us know. We'll do whatever we can, as fast as we can, to help meet your need. So until tomorrow, I wish God's blessings upon you. May the Lord's face shine upon you and bring you peace. Take care. I'll talk to you again.